Oh, hey, it is Dr. Evan Osar with Integrative Movement Insider, just working on some hip rotation. In this 7 or 8, maybe 9-part series, we're discussing the fundamental movement patterns from an integrative movement system perspective. We want to make sure that our clients are successfully training the fundamental movement patterns. So squatting, lunging, bending, rotation, pushing, pulling, carry patterns, as well as walking patterns, because these are the things that our clients need to do for everyday life. Now, some of these patterns are easier for our clients. So we went through the squat, we went through the hip hinge or the bending pattern, we went through fundamental rotation patterns. Today, we're going to focus on the pushing and pulling patterns. And we're going to focus on rotation and how we can use pushing and pulling patterns to actually enhance rotation. Now, a lot of our clients are told, especially our older clients with spinal stenosis, that they shouldn't do rotation exercises. And I couldn't disagree with that more, because rotation is life. We've talked about before, but it bears reinforcing and repeating that walking is essentially rotation. We have to be able to rotate the pelvis around the lower extremity or the femoral head. We have to be able to rotate our spine for optimal walking and efficiency of walking. When our clients don't rotate their trunk, spine, and or hip, they start walking too much through the frontal plane, and that's why we start to see our clients do that weeble wobble walk. Now, rotation patterns for our clients, let me back up, a little premature here. The weeble wobble pattern will make your client more likely to fall, to lose their balance and fall, because they're shifting their center of mass outside of their base of support. This requires so much more energy, so much more effort. It requires compensation to, as the trunk center of mass shifts this direction, the knee has to go that direction. So that's going to cause a huge cause of valgus knee problems and the problems associated with valgus knee. So one of the things we want to do is teach our clients to rotate better. Now, how do we do that? We discussed last time some of the patterns we use, so check out our Facebook Live post on that, or join our newsletter, Integrative Movement Insider, and you can get access to those previous videos. Now, we use our pushing and pulling patterns to reinforce rotation. I'm going to show you just a couple examples of how. Now, some of our clients struggle with rotation because, number one, they don't have great range of motion. Number two, they may have osteoarthritic changes of their spinal joints. So a lot of the initial rotation comes from moving the cylinder, so that rib cage over top of the pelvis, which forms that thoracopelvic cylinder, moving the entire cylinder around the hip joint. So even if your clients do have some hip osteoarthritis, this is still a great pattern to teach your clients, because we have to give them rotation somewhere, and hip rotation is one of the best areas to start with. So we'll use a pulling pattern. Obviously, we'll do our soft tissue release first. We want to do some myofascial release around the hip joint to help free up range of motion. Now we're going to use a pulling pattern, for example, to help create more rotation. So we're always starting with optimal alignment. So what we're going to do is go in stagger stance. So I always have my clients start with good alignment. So head stacked over the thorax stacked over the pelvis, the entire upper body, torso, stacked over top of the foot. Then they go split stance. So now I'm in split stance position. So now what I'm going to do is use my free hand to help drive rotation, as my hand that's connected to the band, is going to pull. So now I'm just going to introduce a slight amount of rotation. And it's really that thoracopelvic cylinder, so that cylinder rotating around the femoral head. So we're introducing, even though we're pulling here, we're introducing some rotation by nature of this pulling motion. The opposite hand helps to drive thoracic rotation, because again, when we walk, we should be rotating our upper torso, so that's shoulder girdle, as well as the upper thorax. So it helps to incorporate some shoulder rotation into the pattern as well. So we're creating a more natural type of rotation pattern. So we're using the upper extremity and the connections of the upper extremity, so the pecs, the middle traps, the low traps, the serratus anterior. We're using these muscles of the shoulder complex to help drive rotation. From the opposite side, stack, split stance, rotate, and reach with the opposite arm. So that way we're creating rotation of that thoracopelvic cylinder around that femoral head. Now we can also use pushing patterns. Pushing patterns are almost more effective because, again, this is more the natural I should say, using the oblique chains, the anterior oblique chains, this is actually a really great way, an additional great way, it's not better, it's an additional great way to, again, work those oblique chains. So again, if we use a bilateral holding pattern, I can, again, go into that split stance position from good alignment, and now I can start to rotate and push one arm away, and again, I'm rotating my cylinder towards that stance leg. So again, I'm here, rotating towards the stance or that forward leg. So again, I'm working those oblique chains to create that rotation of the cylinder, which is what I need when I'm walking. Now, as your clients progress, now we can make it more challenging. But again, many of our clients don't even progress to this because it's just not a great pattern. But again, for our clients that play sports, clients that are a higher level, absolutely, we need to be able to create this counter rotation. So as my pelvis and lumbar spine are relatively facing straight forward, now I can start to rotate the upper thorax and then rotate the upper thorax around the lower portion of the cylinder. So what I'm doing essentially is I'm creating this winding up of these myofascial chains. So a great way for your clients that play pickleball or golf or these other rotational sports. So we're here, we're going to rotate towards the forward leg and then rotate, press away. Rotate towards the forward leg, rotate, press away. And what I'm teaching my client to do is visualize that rotation coming through a central axis, through the top of the head, down through the spine, down through the tailbone, so that rotation is coming around that central axis. And that is safe for most of our clients. And again, we've already checked the rotation. We helped them improve the rotation from some of our sideline patterns, some of our maybe thoracic mobilization type patterns. It's a great way to now train in an upright position, train those obliques, the anterior oblique chain across the front of the body, the posterior oblique chain going across the back of the body, that lat to the thoracolumbar fascia to the glutes. So we're incorporating all the myofascial chains. We're teaching the client how to be upright, how to actually increase their ability to rotate when they're walking, if they're running, and if they're playing sports. So I hope that made sense. Again, align the head and neck, thorax over top of the pelvis. Help them create better rotation, ability to rotate by doing this appropriate myofascial release. That would come first. Then teach them how to align. Then also teach them how to breathe so that way they're able to maintain that length. Because in order to rotate appropriately through the spine, the trunk and spine, you need to be able to elongate. So again, that's why breathing is a big part of this process as well. And then incorporate pushing and pulling patterns to help teach them how to move the upper body, the upper thorax, and the shoulder complex around the lower portion of the cylinder. And that's how you can help so many clients improve how they walk, which ultimately improves their balance, which ultimately improves how fast they can walk and decreases a lot of wear and tear on their low back and their knees. It improves their ability to do the things they need to, want to, and love to do, like golf and things like I like to do, play pickleball, with less injuries and greater efficiency. I hope that helped you. If you liked it, put a comment next to this video, share it with your like-minded friends, and if you have any questions and or comments, feel free to add them as well. Thank you so much for being part of our community and allowing us to be part of your community. Keep going out there, being that leader for your current clients, so that way you attract more individuals that need, want, and will pay you for your expertise. This is Dr. Evan Osar with Integrative Movement Insider. Make it a great day. We'll see you next time here at Integrative Movement Insider. Take care. Bye-bye. Happy Monday. Happy March.